In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of Novation's 61 SL MK3 keyboard, sharing with you all of my favorite features and whether or not I think this could be the right keyboard for you. Brett Pontecorvo here at LiveKeyboardist.com, where I help keyboard players just like you with the ins and outs of Ableton, with mastering sound design, and with building a stable live keyboard setup. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Alright, so the Novation 61 SL MK3 is meant to be a powerful controller and instrument not only for your DAWs, but also for hardware instruments. And in spending the time that I have spent with this instrument, I can say it delivers on the promise. This is a really powerful keyboard, and just here are some general thoughts before we jump into details. First of all, this is the first controller, true keyboard controller, that just makes sense to me. Everything is laid out in a really intuitive fashion, and you don't have to dig so hard. In addition to that, there aren't a ton of sub-menus, so once you kind of figure out how it works, this device is extremely easy to use. It also has a ton of built-in ability that's separate from Ableton, which can be great if you're interfacing with hardware, but even if you were just working with a DAW, it's giving you a leg up, and it's allowing you to step away from your general mediums of creating and think in a little bit of a different way, and there's something definitely to be said for that. All right, so from the moment that I opened this keyboard up, we can see right away that it is high quality. This device came packaged in beautiful packaging. It's really well shipped. The cardboard that it's wrapped in and the protectors are all really thick, and you'll notice that inside the box we've got the keyboard itself. We've also got the instruction manual, we've got a USB cable, which is actually quite sturdy, and also we've got a power cable with different adapters depending on where in the world you live. It's going to give you control over everything you need right out of the box with InControl Mode. It really works beautifully with Ableton, but it also has another mode which would allow you to do more manual mappings, and there are so many pages. Actually, there are 8 full pages and such a high number of templates and presets that it really is quite limitless, the amount of setups you could have built into this machine, which definitely is something that sets it apart. This instrument really feels like it's worth the price. When you touch this instrument, you can really feel the knobs feel good, there's good resistance, the faders feel good. It's a really beautiful setup. Pressing the buttons gives you nice pushback and good clicking sound. It's really a well-built machine. So these are some of my favorite features, and while you're watching, you can always check the link in the description for current prices and to grab one of these instruments for yourself. So, one of the things that is so powerful about this device is the built-in sequencer. Now, Ableton is kind of like its own built-in sequencer, but having the ability to do this on board is pretty cool, and also would allow you to send it to hardware, which I suppose you could also do with Ableton. But this really brings it all together. So as soon as you enter into the sequencer mode, you can hit record and you'll be given a step sequencer. If you want to enter in notes one at a time, you can totally do that. But if you're like me and you want to play something in, that's also totally possible. Now, it also allows you to do this on multiple tracks, so you can have up to 8 patterns at a time, and you can have it on all of these different settings. So I could just move to my next instrument here and begin to lay down another track. You can do the same with a lead. What's really interesting is that I can begin to combine these things. If I move into pattern mode and I want to lay down a different pattern, I can choose a different pad and put it there. So it also makes it really easy to combine patterns if I just press these both at the same time. Obviously turn everything off as well. So the sequencer is super powerful, and I was able to do this all without physically touching Ableton, which kind of allows you to just stay in a creative headspace, which there's definitely something to be said for that. Now, moving on to the Arpeggiator, which is also very powerful. It's just got some unique features. When we come into the Arpeggiator here, you'll see what you would expect to see, but there are also all of these pads. So I could play different types of arpeggiated sequences, but I can also begin to cancel out certain notes. Which just gives you some unique ability that you're not going to find in most arpeggiators. The InControl function is so unbelievable. It reminds me a lot about how push works, but I actually think, dare I say it, this may be slightly more intuitive. So across the bottom here, you'll see your instruments named, and as you click in, it shows you any macros that you have mapped. Now, if you don't have macros mapped, but you do have certain things in the chain, you can just hit Option, and it's going to show you every single device. So I could come in here and choose Utility, and then when I hit out of options, you're going to see I have the ability to change any part of this signal right from here without ever touching my mouse, which is a really awesome thing to be able to do. On top of that, outside of InControl Mode, I have up to 8 different sections that can all be programmed differently. So you could, in theory, have 8 different setups. All of these things could be mapped differently. So if InControl doesn't work for you and you need a really personalized setup, each one of these things can be programmed to set different parameters within Ableton or within your hardware, and each track can give you individualized control of those devices, which is extremely powerful, giving you basically limitless control if you can come up with exactly how you want it to work. Now, in addition to all this, the software that this comes with is insanely good. You have control over literally every single option on this keyboard. Everything can be customized. And when you go to send it, you can actually send it to any template that you want, which makes it really easy to just hit a button on here and have the exact setup that you want. I always say software is a really important piece of MIDI controllers, and the software goes way above and beyond what would be necessary to make this instrument work. So this is like icing on the cake, really beautiful software setup. So is this device for you? If you are looking to control a DAW as well as a hardware instrument, this piece of hardware is going to pull everything into one central location and give you an unbelievable amount of control. So I would say absolutely yes. And even if you're just looking for a good keyboard controller to work with in your DAW, I would still say this is a beautiful option that gives you a ton of control and the ability to customize what's going on. This keyboard might not be for you if you're looking for something that really feels like a piano. The keys have beautiful resistance, but they are not weighted. So if that's important to you, this probably isn't the way to go. Like I mentioned earlier in the video though, this is for sure the most intuitive instrument that I have ever used in terms of interfacing with Ableton. So if that matters to you, it's definitely worth checking this out. There's a link in the description below for details about pricing and where you can grab a copy of this instrument for yourself. If you got value out of this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Check out these videos on the screen right here to help you on your live keyboardist journey, and I will see you next time at LiveKeyboardist.com.